Hello once again, witchy people. This evening I am back to talk about Saturn return. Now, this is not my time of Saturn return. I think it happens to me when I'm about 58 years old. So what is Saturn return? Basically, it's the time of your life when Saturn returns to the position it was when you were born. It happens approximately 27 to 29 and a half years apart. Roughly the ages, we can say 29, 58 and 84, give or take. Like I said, mine was age 27 and my next one is when I'm aged 58. There are other things that kind of shape how Saturn shapes your life. The second position is one. The second opposition is one when Saturn is in the second opposition, which kind of happens when you're about 42. But this is getting, that gets really complicated. So we're just going to do Saturn return. So Saturn is not just the ruler of change. And a lot of people get really worried and think that it's a bad thing when you're in Saturn return. But it can also depend on where Saturn was when you were born. So when I was born, it was in the house of Aries. So, and for me, that kind of means if Saturn was in Aries when you were born, it kind of means that you want to be a trailblazer. You want to change things dramatically in your own way and trailblaze your own path. And it doesn't always work out that way. Because Saturn, as well as being a representative of growth and change, it's also representative of personal growth and achievements. Saturn is known as the great teacher and, of the zodiac. We're talking the zodiac. Now, I'm not huge on astrology, as in I'm not very good at it. I don't have a copy of my birth chart hanging around or anything. Off the top of my head, I could probably never tell you what my moon sign is, my rising sign and everything else. It's something that I have to look up. I find astrology very, very complicated, and kudos to anyone that is an astrologer, because you have to have a lot up here to really keep it all in order. Anyway, so as well as being the great teacher of the zodiac, Saturn, it's kind of like a serious worker, if you like. So it makes you work hard. It's one of the, basically, if you say, I want to do this and that, and I'm going to do this and that, and this is what I'm going to achieve, Saturn will turn around and say, okay then, how serious are you about doing this and that? And let's throw a few obstacles in your way, not to stop you achieving what your dreams and your aspirations, but to help you grow into them. So that's what Saturn in the zodiac does. So when Saturn returns to your chart, I don't know what that noise was. When Saturn returns, it's a time for you to restart in some ways, to reshape. And it's not necessarily changing bad things. It's working through things. It's not changing who you are. It's becoming a more mature, more learned version of yourself, a betterment of yourself. So it's not all about change, but more about growth. So there are a few things that kind of we have to go through when Saturn returns. And as I said, I'm sure if you look up online, you can find an astrological chart calculator, which will tell you roughly when it is. I mean, my daughter's, she was born in October. She was born in October of 94, and her next sort of big natal thing is, I think, 2028 or is it 2023? 2023. I think Saturn returns to her chart in roughly 2023. So, yes, and like I say, mine is when I am 58, so it's May 2027, I do believe. Hello, Barclay. Hello, Barclay. So, what are the things that sort of like we have to work through, and what might happen during Saturn return? So one of the things is going to be challenges, and you are going to be challenged to do better. You know, to try and bring out the best version of you. And you'll be encouraged to take responsibility for not necessarily the person you are, but maybe your flaws, the things that you don't perceive to be perfect. You take responsibility for them and you work on improving yourself. You question. So you may find during this time of Saturn return that you start to question everything, and you understand that you're stepping into a new chapter of your life. And like I said, it's not necessarily changing, you know, leaving bad or changing anything bad. It is about growth. So it's a new chapter of maturity, growing into maturity, but not, you know, just getting older physically, but it's mentally maturing and emotionally maturing. It's a time of test. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you take the bull by the horn and you go for it, even though you're going to be tested. Or you can just keep on copping out and not grow at all, which, you know, next time Saturn comes around, it happens 3 times roughly in your life. If you're lucky, it'll happen 3 times. It will get worse and worse. If you cannot grow and mature emotionally, spiritually, then that stagnation isn't a good thing for your life, isn't a good thing for you personally. So it's a chance for you to better your life. It's like I said, it's never anything really bad. And of course, ultimately, Saturn in return is mostly about growth. It is about growth. It's the reason that Saturn returns. It is the ultimate end of why Saturn returns. It's to learn and to grow. So that's kind of it. Now, there are some ages within your life, year ages, that you may find are, excuse me, quite important. Now, one of those, as I said, for me, it was 42. And that is usually, can be for some people, quite an important time. It's a time of make and break when Saturn is in the second opposition. It's just a place it is in your chart, which I don't, as I said, I don't fully understand. You need to talk to an astrologer if you really want to get into this, because I don't. I'm just giving you a few heads up here. Just my opinions. So when you're about 42, huge changes. Now, you may find that this is, you know, for most people it is, age 42, that's the time when you might be, you know, when your children, if you've had children, you might be, you know, they might be coming into teenagers, or you're thinking about your work life, or you might think about moving because your children are, you know, growing up, or you might be having children. I know many women who have had children round about the age of 42. Unfortunately, I also know quite a few people who have passed away at the age of 42. Famous people as well. You think about it, how many people pass away at 42, and then there's is it the 26 or the 27 club? Also another huge time for Saturn in your chart. Now, as I said, I'm not an astrologer, but there are definitely times, I think, that we can sort of put it down to a general thing. Like, for a lot of people, age around about 27 to 29 and a half, which is obviously roughly the time when you get your first Saturn return, it is a time when you start to think about your age. You may be thinking about starting a family. You may be starting, you're thinking about your careers, your business, and you are thinking about maturity and growth because you're heading towards your 30s, and it's a time when you're expected to mature. So yes, it could all be a coincidence, and for many people it is. But it is kind of nice to think, maybe, that the time that you were born and how your chart is mapped out may have some influence on how you deal with things. I'm not saying it's an excuse for the way you behave, because it's not, but it might be a reason for certain things that, emotionally happen through your life, and like I said, the way you deal with them. Anyway, I rambled enough. That's it. Saturn return. Mine isn't due for a few years yet. I'm not necessarily looking forward to it, because I think it's hard enough getting through your late 50s as it is without thinking about emotional change. But of course, at age 58, I will be thinking about my husband will be hopefully retiring then, and big things will happen. All that time we may spend together, I may end up murdering him. I'm kidding, it's not going to happen. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you for watching, witchy people. I will be back very soon. Bye for now.